Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining in. We are here today with the one and only Jay Shapiro. Before I introduce him, or before I actually let him introduce himself, let me tell you how much I appreciate this person. He's just so much, like he's done so much, and he's just a nice person. And I remember him a couple years back giving me advice, and he barely even knew me. So like I really want you guys to listen into everything that he has to say and learn from him because he has a lot of experience. Anyway, Jay, can you please tell us
Hello.
more about you?
Thank you for that amazing introduction. I hope the advice was good. Uh, so uh, so I'm Jay Shapiro. I'm the CEO and founder of USIKU Games, based here in Nairobi, Kenya. And we are a social impact gaming company. We've been around for about 3 years. Started in Kenya. We're about 25 full-time people, all Kenyan at the moment, and I've just started our expansion now across the continent, hoping to bring gaming to all of Africa.
Nice, nice, nice. You did mention a keyword here, game for good. Can you tell us a little bit more about that? Because I know you're very passionate about that topic. Tell us what do we talk about when we say game for good?
Yeah, so we're a social enterprise, for-profit, sustainable, with a real mission, which is to try and create social impact through our projects. We try and harness the power of gamification for the purposes of education and behavior change amongst the youth. And the reality is today, and this is not just Kenya, this is in a lot of markets, that the youth are largely deaf to any traditional messaging that the government, Ministry of Health or whatever may put out, or traditional NGOs might put out. But when you take those same messages and you make them fun and interactive through gaming, then you have ways to incentivize the appropriate behavior that you're trying to go for, and to really create that emotional connection with the educational material. And so that's what we do. We create games that make a difference in the world.
Perfect. And tell me, I mean, when you look at the landscape today, we talk about the potential of video games on the continent. We talk about the fact that you have, a fast-growing group of young guys who are eager to do something special in the tech industry and in gaming, in particular. What's your take on the current state of the industry and where it's gonna go?
So I'm hugely optimistic about gaming in Africa. I really believe that it has massive potential. When you look at just the raw numbers of 2019 before COVID, we had more than 350 million connected smartphones already on the continent, growing at 20% year over year. That's more than all of the US, Mexico, and Canada combined. Um, Really globally, there are only three markets anywhere that will have potentially a billion players. And that's China, India, and now Africa. And China and India are already gone. So really all eyes are on Africa. And I really believe that it's going to be just massive growth over the next few years. What's interesting is that we're starting from a position of really a blank sheet of paper, where there has been traditionally kind of no industry here. We've had some veterans, people like Letty Arts, for example, that have been around for a number of years, but really it's reaching scale for the first time. And so what we're looking at now is, how do we develop the talent? How do we develop the business models? And how do we develop the investment infrastructure to be able to scale that business? And that's really what we've been focused on.
You mentioned talent. Tell us a little bit about the project that you started. I know you built a big center, which has a different I would say objective and outlook. It's not a gaming center. The idea is really to get some of these young guys, bring them in, help them, support them, build their capacity. Tell us a little bit more about that.
Yeah, so we started what's called the Nairobi Game Development Center. It's a 6,000 square foot community co-working space in the heart of Nairobi. It's the top two floors of Diamond Plaza. And we run it on a really highly subsidized rate to essentially incubate our future competitors. Because when people think about game development, they often think that that means coding. And as anybody in the audience here will recognize, that the actual coding part is probably 10 or 20% of producing a game. You need the illustrators, the animators, the musicians, the writers, the project managers. I mean, there's just so much that goes into it. And so we wanted to create a center that could really help to build up that ecosystem and become the epicenter for game development in Kenya. Recognizing that no one company can form this multi-billion-dollar industry. You need the ecosystem and to amortize the cost of the education and the talent development. And so we're doing workshops and training and demo nights and hackathons and all that sort of stuff, just to try and give everybody the exposure and the experience and those random collisions of just being together and talking about projects in order to build up the industry.
Nice. And when you look at, I mean, you that interacts and deal a lot with those, with those young guys that are, that are starting up in the industry, what are some of the advices that you give them that, some of the guys that are part of the audience today can learn from in terms of like when they want to start their venture in the video game industry?
I think the first thing is that to recognize that there's a huge difference between building a game and building a gaming company. Those are two very different things.
Different things,
right?
Yeah.
And most of the industry today in Africa has started by a couple of guys in their bedroom that have an idea for a game and have maybe learned Unity. And that's great. And we've seen some really amazing games come out of that. But that's very different from trying to build a mature business with investors and HR and marketing operations and signing IP legal agreements and just all the really boring stuff that goes with it. But that's what keeps the business going and growing. And so what we need is some proper sort of entrepreneurs and business people to come in and help build this industry who may not know Unity, who may not know Maya or 3ds Max or whatever, right? They don't have the technical skills. I myself, I have a computer science background. I haven't written a line of code in years, right? That's not my job. My job is to foster the talent, to find the great people and then give them the opportunity in the projects to really blossom. And that's what I see my role as and what I think needs to be replicated across the industry.
And keeping on talking about impact, you've talked about the impact that you can have on a whole generation and on the youth that tomorrow is going to build that gaming ecosystem or that's going to build games for the continent or outside. What are some of the other impacts that you see that the gaming industry in Africa can have on people's daily lives?
Well, we've chosen to focus on social impact games for two reasons, really. One is because it's the right thing to do, right? And we can have substantial impact on the communities that we operate in. So we've created games for gender-based violence, climate change, reforestation, agriculture, education, that sort of thing. And that's great because we know that people are having fun playing our games, but also making their lives better. That's the first reason. The second reason, as most people in this industry will attest to, monetization is really hard in the gaming industry in Africa at the moment. It can't come through advertising. It can't come through in-app purchases. It's not coming through subscription models. So where's it going to come from? And one route that a lot of companies have taken is doing sort of hyper-casual games for Western markets, right? Or doing low-cost development in Africa for Western games.
Yeah.
We believe that we should be doing games that are made in Africa for Africa. And in order to do that, you have to earn the revenue in Africa. And the biggest way to do that, or the smartest way to do that, we think at the moment, is by creating bespoke games that are commissioned by NGOs and governments who are willing to pay 100,000 euros for a game that in banner ads would take a long time to get to. And so that's a really sort of effective and efficient way to build up your company, build up the talent, give them the experience of creating. We've published over 30 games already. that would be really hard to do if you were relying on just in-app purchases, for example. And so this is essentially kickstarting the industry to get us to the point where we can then reach that scale and be sustainable.
And talking about having enough funds to be able to to launch a game or to build a game, what's today your opinion on the state of finding financial resources for building a game today? Do you think we are 10%, 50%, 100%? I mean, where do you think we're standing today?
It's early days. I think that it will be a lot more than what it currently is. But I also think that it's a lot more than what it was when we started just a few years ago, right?
Yeah.
We've seen some big raises this last year. For example, Carry First, which are a great partner for us. We like them a lot. We co-hosted an event last month with them, and good for them, really. I mean, I think that's great. And excuse me, what's nice is that it sort of sets the benchmark for the rest of the industry to start having professional investors from those overseas markets looking at gaming in Africa and realizing the potential and the opportunity here. At the same time, at least in Kenya, there's a lot of angel interest in gaming. And so we've been very successful in raising locally so far. And we know that it's just going to get easier. That's the first thing. The second thing is that we're actually launching in Q1 2022. We're doing a blockchain gaming initiative, and we've just joined the Blockchain Gaming Alliance. And we're doing something a little bit different, looking at how blockchain gaming can be used for social impact, blockchain gaming for good, if you will. And that in itself has a huge load of funding that it brings with it. And so we think that that's going to be a very fast way to scale as well.
On another note, I have a question for you. I mean, 1 or 2 months ago, I think there was a big event in France. They call it the Z event. And where these guys were able to raise, I forgot the number, but it was a couple of millions of euros that they were able to raise for a cause over, I don't know, I think it was 48 hours or 72 hours. What's your take on that? Do you think those kind of models can apply here? And what should people who are in the industry consider doing around that space?
One of the members of the Nairobi Game Development Center about 6 months ago did a blockchain coin offering. They raised $2.8 million in 3 minutes.
No, 2.8
in 3 minutes. It's
huge.
Definitely possible. It's definitely possible.
Wow.
Yeah.
This is crazy.
And like I said, this is just the start. When you consider the hundreds of millions of youth that exist in Africa, the fact that we have the largest youth population, we have the fastest growing middle class, we're going to have, by some estimates, 680 million smartphones by 2030. There's going to be massive investment here, but it has to go somewhere. They can't just throw the money on the ground and hope that it grows. We need talent, we need teams, we need professional management, we need recipients for that kind of investment. And so it's really a race to scale, to see how fast can we build this industry before they get here. And I think we probably have realistically 36 months.
And going in the same direction of there is potential, something is going to happen. What are some of the advices that you can give today to somebody who is, yes, starting in the industry, but specifically wants to do something around gaming for good? You did mention earlier that they should look at, working with, NGOs and companies who may want to buy their games. How should they go about that? Where should they start? How should, what are some of your advices on that?
I think the most important part is to not just do it opportunistic. Don't just do it because there's money there, right? Be passionate. Find what your mission is. Find the area that you really think you can make a difference in, and pursue that. Because any of these funders, any of these NGOs, they're not in it for business, right? They're in it to make a difference, and they'll know, and they want to work with partners who want to make a difference. And so there's so much opportunity at the moment in Africa to make a difference. The issue that's important to you, as an example, for us, in all of our games that we produce at USIKU Games. All of our games, of course, are mobile because Africa is mobile first. All of them, as I said, are made in Africa for Africa with local heroes and local music that we commission. We have rappers and musicians and all that compose music for our soundtracks. All of our games are non-violent. There's no guns in any of our games. All of our games are gender inclusive. We treat all genders as equals, not as objects. That's unfortunately a little rare in this industry, right? And they all have this sense of a social mission. And so come up with what your rules are for your studio. What are you going to stand by? And then see how firmly you'll adhere to those when opportunity comes along that entices you to drift away from them. Will you say no? Are you willing to turn down that big contract because it's not aligned with your values? And if so, then congratulations, you're a social impact company.
I want to come back to one word that you did use earlier, gamification. How do you think today the whole concept of gamification, which could be used in pretty much any industry, how do you think that should be used or applied when looking at the African context? What are some of the advices that you can give to anybody that's interested in applying that here?
Well, I think this gamification is hugely powerful. I think that gamification does not necessarily mean games. Gamification can be applied towards any business process or whatever. Gamification is not particularly new. People have just been calling it psychology for 100 years, right? It's all about carrots and sticks, motivation, motivating the player towards the behavior that you want to entice, and away from the behaviors you want to discourage. And so that can be applied towards building an industry, towards motivating staff, towards motivating clients. This whole sense of FOMO, the fear of missing out, right? There's all kinds of ways to use gamification to your advantage, both in the game and outside.
Wow, so much knowledge, so much. Guys, I told you earlier that you needed to listen to Jay. He has so much, he has so much information to share with us. That's just great. Jay, I know I can't keep you forever, but there's one thing you did mention that you guys just released a new game. Can you tell us a bit about that? What's the objective behind that game, and what are you trying to do with that game?
So we just launched a game called Foota, Footah. It's at foota.usiku.games if you want to check it out. It's a progressive web app, and it's a mobile football league where you build up your team and compete against other teams. And where it's a little bit different is that if you remember traditional sort of trading cards, football player trading cards, you create your own playing card where you are the hero in the game, and then you build up the stamina and skills level of your player by connecting it with Google Fit and actually going outside and exercise. And so unlike FIFA, for example, where you just sit on your sofa and play all day, that's right. The only way to win our game is to actually get out and exercise. And so we've connected it to the real world. Then throughout the game, there are checkpoints where you have to go along, and we ask you values-based questions. What would you do in this situation? And through that, we're teaching some shared values of good sportsmanship, fairness, and trying to reduce gender-based violence. And so we created that game in partnership with GIZ. As I said, we've just launched it. It's using the Google Fit API. It's a great game. It's a lot of fun. And I encourage everybody to sign up. It's free.
Nice. I'm sure this game is going to be hugely successful. And all I can wish to you guys is really to continue making such great games and to continue having such an impact. I've been following USIKU for a couple of years now, and every year I get blown by, every time there's something new, some new innovation, some new projects coming out. And, I commend you for it. Thank you, Jay, for spending the time with us. We really appreciate it. I hope all of you guys liked it. We'll definitely hear more from Jay in the upcoming months. I know he's gonna have a new project for us. Thank you again, Jay. Have a great end of the day, and see you guys.
Thank you so much. It's been great talking to you. And listen, thank you for everything you do through FEJA. You've been an amazing supporter of the industry. This is what we need. We need to get together and share ideas. And so thanks for making it happen.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you, Jay. All right. Take care.